Welcome back to the Antidote podcast. Today we have a special interview with Dr. Chris Stepien. Actually, I recorded this podcast about 5 months ago, August 31st. Dr. Chris is somebody that I've known since 2020. We met through the Modern Day Night Project. I've actually worked with him being a patient of his with some chronic pain that I had with my knee, my ankles, my lower back, just injuries that I've had from exercising. And he's actually the one that got me back on track to start running again. And Dr. Chris was supposed to be the first podcast that I was recording, but I started to overthink it. I didn't like the way the introduction began. The video wasn't in 4K. I recorded in the wrong setting at 1080p. The video wasn't recorded in focus some of the time. So with that, I just wanted the first episode to be perfect. And with that, I just kind of overthought it, delayed it, and here we are 5 months later. I'm here in New York, and I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to release this podcast. A couple things, I'll do a reintroduction of Dr. Chris because Dr. Chris is a chronic pain doctor. He specializes in helping people who have had pain for over 6 months, who have seen multiple doctors, and still have had pain that hasn't been fixed yet. If he can't fix you in a certain amount of treatments, he'll let you know, and he just wants you to be pain-free. And that's exactly what he's done for me. Dr. Chris runs Barefoot Rehab Clinic in New Jersey. I visited him in his clinic many times, and his Barefoot Rehab Clinic was something that deeply inspired the way that I run and operate Upside Tattoo. From their vision, their mission, their values, from the energy that I felt to the staff there and how they greeted and took care of me as a patient, I wanted to bring a lot of those values and those feelings of being a patient there and transfer that over into Upside, into a space that I could deliver that same sort of welcoming feeling for tattoo clients as well. So with that, I'll leave this introduction short. Here's our interview with Dr. Chris Stepien. I hope you enjoy it, and let's get right to it. We're just gonna go ahead and call this the I'm For Real podcast. So we've got Chris Stepien here, Christopher Stepien. Are you a doctor or not a doctor? Because I see that in your bio. Sometimes you are or you're not. So talk a bit about who you are, Barefoot Rehab, and just give us a little bit of that.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate that. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Chris Stepien. I own a chronic pain clinic in Denville, New Jersey. And it depends, am I a doctor? Do you consider a chiropractor a doctor? Some people would say no, but I'm a licensed chiropractor, and technically DC means Doctor of Chiropractic, so okay. Yes.
So what is it about, I just remember reading or seeing one of your posts about that role or that title as far as what you do.
Are you referring to, on my personal Instagram, it's Dr. Chris Stepien. Yeah. I play around with the titling underneath that. Like right now it says, I play doctor and teacher on television.
Okay.
Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because I don't, the tattoo I got today speaks to that, which is I don't want to put myself up on a pedestal from an ego perspective as far as being a doctor and having this high status, because from a spiritual perspective, I just don't want to. The more inflated my ego gets, the more I suffer.
Right.
And so that Plato's cave, the allegory is we're all just shadows dancing on the cave wall. And the idea is that if I'm playing this role as doctor or teacher, it's not actually who I am. It's just this role that I've developed myself to be. And then when I die, the role's gone anyway. Yeah. So that I do that to humble myself.
Okay. So today we're at the end of a very long session, right? You were here yesterday. And we worked on like the design for your tattoo. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. And I'm really, as far as what this podcast is or does, like we're just going to let it unfold. And this is like 2009 was the last time I did this. So we're like about 15 years removed from doing the last ones. But I really just wanted to just kind of peek into the mind and the heart of like clients. And for some people, tattooing is like, it's just a tattoo. It's not that serious. Just stick them, get them out the door. It's cool. It's done. It's just cool imagery. For some people, it's like it's deeper meaning. And I think me and you were on like a similar path to just like connect with people, to heal. But as far as your tattoo goes, kind of talk a little bit about that, and as far as like why that came to be what it was.
Yeah, sure. So I have a few tattoos, all smaller than the one that you did today, and they generally all mean something to me based on where the time that I was in. And each day I notice myself looking at my love tattoo and just asking myself, do I encompass this or not? Or my elephant or the grandfather totem on my shoulder. And they all mean something to me, and they remind me of what that meaning was. And to be honest, if it weren't for you, I probably wouldn't have gotten another tattoo, but I admire your work so deeply. And where I currently am in life is, over the past 4 or 5 years, some of the huge mistakes that I've made that have caused a lot of suffering, causing me to lose half of my staff in my clinic at one point, lose hundreds of thousands of dollars, cause Katie, my partner, to almost leave me, which means that I'm not going to have my kids anymore. And then when Katie broke up with me permanently this past February, so about 6 months ago, I was like, I'm literally losing everything. Yeah. And that was a really hard place to be. So now Katie and I are working on a relationship, and I'm working to rebuild the clinic and do it in a different way. And so one of the things that I am really working on right now is to notice where my ego, the individual that is Chris, is driving the show, and where I can surrender more into spirit. Where is God trying to whisper to me what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm just not listening, or I'm just not able to hear? So can I meditate more? Can I be more mindful? Can I read different books, like I'm reading Course in Miracles I told you about right now, to just learn more? And so I told you that I wanted to work on, I was envisioning this grandfather fire, because I really like the whole Native American theme or way of life. Grandfather fire is this energy in the fire that transmutes, that burns it all and turns things into ashes so something else can come out of the fire. And I imagined me going into that fire and not letting my ego run the show anymore. So you created this. And then I also mentioned to you that I tend to be, there's something with my hands. So when I played football, because of my hands, I was able to get big linemen off of me, and I made my fingers really arthritic. And then I did CrossFit, and it was all hands. And now I treat people with my hands to fix chronic pain. And I realized that this is a very physical thing, and it feels egotistical to depend on my hands. So what would it be like for me to heal people and surrender into just my presence alone? Can I just love people enough that they actually heal? And so you put grandfather fire into the hand for the image, and then you had my face, the mask that was being burnt. And then in the middle of the fire are my two sons, who are bears, and one of my sons' name is Bear, and the other is Koa, and they're fighting / dancing, which is super interesting. And then Katie, my partner Katie, is the hummingbird, bringing her wisdom into this fire and trying to stop the fighting. And it's based on my childhood, I tend to be a big loner, and I like to push people and my family away. And so it's just burning the ego, surrendering into spirit, bringing my family in closer together so that I can love them and allow them to live the best life that they can. And you put all that together in this beautiful image that gives me a lot of meaning, so that every time I look in the mirror when I'm at home, I remember, Chris, this is a commitment that you made, because now it's on your skin until you die.
Yeah. See, all that you share is like, it's so deep, it's so personal, and like I can take all that and turn into a tattoo. But why I bring that up is like, that's kind of one of the things that drew me to you and your practice, and really what allowed me to trust you to work on me. So we met back in like 2020 after we did the Modern Day Night project, and you spoke to me like 2 weeks after, graduation, and you wanted to get tattooed. So it was one of those things of like, that was eventually going to happen. But I think it was later on that year, I was just doing some like deadlifts with the sandbags, and it was just like, 25 reps, 45-second break, as many sets as you can do for like 45 minutes. And like my back was extremely sore, but I don't know what happened from there. Like my back started to get numb, and I went to go see somebody for acupuncture, massage therapy, heat therapy, electrotherapy. I don't know if I said acupuncture already, but I tried all these different methodologies and nothing really worked. But then I remembered, I was like, oh, Chris Stepien, like he's a doctor, and I think something with a chiropractor or adhesion, something like, I don't know, but he can fix pain, right? That was like the big thing I remember. Like if you've had pain for a long period of time, 6 months or something, you've seen several doctors, you can work on them. I was like, I've just had this for like a day. I haven't seen any doctors yet, but maybe Chris will treat me for it. But I just remember going through your page and just seeing like, it's, I think, really the first time I've seen or known somebody that is this open and this vulnerable. Like, what gets somebody to this place to run a professional practice and finds themselves willing to just be open and share things like you've just shared right now? Like, why do that, and how'd you get to that place?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. I think that I've noticed where, having dealt with a lot of depression, suicidal ideation, and especially guilt and shame in my past, especially shame, just I'm not worthy, I wish I was dead because I don't belong here, that type of thing. You realize that one of the things that shame as an emotion does to people is it causes you want to hide, because you think that who you are is not good enough. And so you say, I can't show my true self to anybody because they're going to hate me, I'm going to get punished, they're going to throw stones at me at the town square, they're going to want me to get out, whatever else it is. And so part of the antidote to that is sharing. And something that's hard for me that I'm working on is intimately sharing with my partner, Katie, or people who are close to me. That's hard for me based on my childhood, because I couldn't necessarily share with my guardians, my parents, who were there for various reasons. So I developed this strategy of sharing on social media, and it was kind of like, I need to express myself to post who I am, because if I don't, I'm scared what's going to happen if I bury this down deep inside. And so it became a way that my clinic is a way that I could heal myself by expressing who I am, seeing if I'm accepted, and then the people who resonate, because some doctor is actually sharing their shit and their wounds and the things they're scared to share, then those people will come in and say, I'm so grateful that you shared something, because most doctors just keep everybody at a distance. So it's really just to help myself be worthy, be loved, to love myself, and then also to connect with others.
Yeah. So you find that ultimately ended up being like helpful for you to like develop that trust and that relationship, and it benefited your practice by opening it up to that level, and versus just being strictly professional and sharing just the medical side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it benefits my practice. I think sometimes I think I scare people away sometimes, and then other times I'll share opinions. Around COVID, I was telling people, like, we're not closing. We didn't close for one day, and if you have chronic pain, we're coming in. And some people at the time were like, F this guy. Well, he's not closing, he's causing the spread of this thing. So I don't know if this sharing has helped us or hurt us. I know it attracts the type of people that I want to connect with, and I think the type of people that you want to do art with, and Angel wants to do art with. I think more than that is I value deeper relationships, which is why I love the way that you tattoo. Is we're talking today, there's something about the way that I spoke to you. You allowed me to share things that are just deeper than the superficial level. And because of that, you can strike a chord with somebody that all of a sudden they have some realization or some awareness or some catharsis. And you said that your clients have cried before or let go. And I think that's really powerful. And you have an opportunity to just touch somebody when they're not able to be seen. They're not able to be felt. And that alone is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, but going back to what you said, like we can't be for everybody, right? And if you try to, like, you're not really being you. Like it's that people-pleasing aspect, which I did find myself doing that when I found myself like needing to be more active on social media. And this is back in 2018, 19, like just trying to figure out how to be more than someone that just shares the artwork. And it's just what I found throughout time of like working with other tattoo artists and really just my experience with clients, when someone reaches out for your work, it's a very like transactional experience. I want to find someone who does a great tattoo,
Right.
and with that, like, I'm hoping you're a good person that's going to do a good job for me.
Right.
But what I found is like the conversations that we have are much deeper, and like I don't sit there with headphones on. I don't watch any movies. Like I really just feel like for a human being to trust me to permanently mark them forever, it's a very intimate, sacred space, and like I just want to be there to give them the time and attention if they need it. And some people just want to have that conversation. We've heard it before of just like tattoos therapy, you know, to just like sit there and get tattooed and talk to your artist and just kind of share and release. And it's a form of that. But to be able to like sit there, I found out that like, well, I've understood getting tattooed is not normal. I've shared that with you today. It's like, why would anyone want to like hurt themselves to get something marked on them? And it's always like, there's something deeper inside, whether consciously or subconsciously, that we're working through.
Yeah.
And it could be the first surface level layer of like, I want to memorialize this person that has passed, or I want to celebrate this occasion or this person, and I want them marked on me. So I'm willing to endure this pain to like have my family on me, you know? Sometimes it's about just the artist. I've had tattoos from my brother that the imagery at the time didn't really mean anything to me, but it was just the fact that it was Cambodian artwork.
Right.
My brother's never done that work before. I was happy to get large-scale tattoos of artwork that no one's had before. But then I just recently had my armpits done too, and it was by artists that I admired. And it wasn't necessarily the subject matter, but it was like, because of you as an artist or as a person, I respect you, that it's like, I love your craft, I love your art, do whatever you like, and was able to get my armpit tattooed. So sometimes it's just the process. Sometimes it's the people that you work with. Other times it's like you have something deeper, and I don't care who I work with, I don't care how beautiful the art is, I just need to sit under the needle today and feel something.
Right.
Because I do think like with people, like some people have a hard time feeling or expressing or releasing, and tattooing is that weird thing of like, you get to actually be engaged in this pain to bring you back to this present moment.
Right.
And it's the commitment to actually finish the tattoo, to sit there for the whole day or multiple days, to come back and say, this is what I believe, this is what I value, this is what I want represented on me, this is the amount of suffering within these hours that I'm willing to endure to express who I am or what this piece means to me.
Right.
You know, so for you, like you sat like 8+ hours today on your stomach, your hips, and your ribs, and it was one of those things of like, we're done with time, you know. But it's you willing to endure for something that had such a deep like meaning for you.
Yeah. And I think that you were sharing about your brother first with your bodysuit, and then having your armpits done by these artists you appreciate, respect. And similarly here, I appreciate and am generally moved by the art that you do. You have 2 pieces of art in my office in New Jersey. I was just looking at angels. What are the statues called?
Neos?
Yeah. Like whatever that is, I was looking at that. I want to eat some mushrooms, and I just want to sit in front of that thing and
talk
I
to
feel
it.
like there's going to be something that happens and that moves me. So as far as I appreciate the way that you express beauty and creativity, and it was important to me as somebody who I care deeply about that I could have a piece of your art on my body, which just feels really. There's something about honoring you, or I don't know, but it just makes me happy.
Yeah, and it was an honor. It's always an honor to do tattoos for people, and it was a big honor for me to do this on you. And we'll kind of circle back as far as what this meant. But yeah, someone's giving you a piece of their skin that they're going to carry for the rest of their lives, and I don't take it lightly. It's like taking the time and energy to like really find out who they are and what it means, rather than just like, here's a couple pictures and put it on and call it a day. I like being able to do in-depth consultations, which is why the process is a little bit more elaborate than some other shops or artists. But I want to get to know, like, am I the right fit for you? You know, are you willing to like open and share? And if not, if it's just, I just want to get this picture, and that's cool too. But I find that the clients that I resonate with, or the clients that resonate with me more, are the ones that have like some idea or feeling or emotion inside, and they want to express, but they don't know like how. they can't quite figure it out together. Other people, they just know straight up this is what they want. And so there's like almost like two different types of people. But you mentioned creativity, and that was like one of the things that connected me to you after, coming to you to see my pain. And I'll share the mushroom story, because I had a client that gifted me a chocolate mushroom bar.
Right.
And that chocolate mushroom bar on the back said, eat one pieces and you'll feel good, eat the whole bars and the wall will melt.
Yeah.
And I was terrified. I've heard of psychedelics, I've heard of mushrooms, but I didn't want to like have a bad trip and get stuck in a closet and kill myself. But on your social media page, you were like openly talking about it. So I just ended up coming to your practice one day and I was like, hey, Dr. Chris, I got this chocolate mushroom bar for you. And you're like, oh, great, you know me so well. And I was like, well, what is it for? And you were like, oh, some people use it for trauma. Some people use it for creativity. And I was like, oh, creativity.
Right.
Like, I want to tap into my creativity. And you're like, well, what are you talking about? You're creative. I was like, no. At the time, I was only rendering. I was like just copying black and gray photos. And I could still like Photoshop it to tell a story and be creative that way. But I knew I wanted to like do more and explore, but I didn't know how to really like express from a deeper place other than just by what I was seeing.
Right.
So it was after like several journeys later, being able to like work with you through a couple of like sessions to just now get to this place of like removing all of the judgment, not all, a lot of the judgment, so that I can create freely in front of a client and just be able to like create something that's unique. And I still have some of the judgment of like, it's not fully realistic. It's not like proportionately correct. Like I'm not there yet, but for those clients that see it, they're just like, I want to cry, or that's beautiful, or thank you, like you saw me. And those are the pieces that mean a lot to them, and it means a lot to me because I was able to like connect on like an emotional level and create this piece that hasn't been done before.
Right.
Of course, there's always work to be done on the technical side of like how to be a better artist with proportion and anatomy to have it expressed more realistically. But the ability to do that tattoo on you, I wouldn't have been able to do before. And I don't think it would have had as much of an impact as it does now, because I feel like to you, this may have more life to it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to see you draw at certain times in different ways, and I've asked you before if you channel when you're drawing, or in the Lakota, they talk about being the hollow bone. It's just like Andy's not here, but there's an empty vessel here that is, spirit is coming and talking through the empty vessel, and there's stuff happening on paper. And I think that that's what you found after some of those sessions, but it feels to me at times that you're continuing to step into this hollowness that's allowing you to create in a way that people are very moved and touched by.
Yeah.
And so that's, I mean, it's so powerful to think about how you can do that for people.
When you share that with me before, and you share that in different ways, I'm just like, it was like too spiritual and too woo-woo and too hippie for me. I was like, I don't quite grasp this concept yet. Like, what does that mean to be hollow, to channel? And like, I wasn't in that headspace. But when I can look at it now, if I was to just break it down to like the simplest terms, it's really just like listening and understanding what the person is trying to say.
Or being present. Maybe it's just being present.
Maybe it's just
mindful.
being present, right? And sometimes as artists, like we just want to do what we want to do, what looks cool. Right. And we spend all this time working on designs for clients. And it's like, well, this is what I'd like to do. And you show it to them, and they're like, that's not quite it. And then there's some frustration on the artist end because like we're trying to create something that we think is going to be exciting for you. But if we did the consultation right, you would have been able to like hear what they were trying to express.
Right.
And it does take a lot of time and effort to be able to do that. And I'd rather have it be that way so that you can have something that represents accurately. And the first day that you were here, we didn't even tattoo. Right. Like we sat for like 2 hours. I'm drawing, you're drawing, and like we're just talking and sharing stories. But as you, even if I didn't know you before, as we're sitting here and sharing stories and talking, I get to have more of an idea of who you are. And I can like sit there and like ask questions about what you like or what this means to you or why you drew a certain subject matter and like how that can potentially influence the design. So it's really just been like this journey of like exploration of like, how can I better create for a client? And with the method that I was doing before, with just like black and gray realism, I did feel like a sense of limitation, because I was like, I could only pull from sources that were already out there. But if I started to build that trust with the client, and I was able to work on my artwork to be able to like create in a way that expressed it fully for them, there's been less and less resistance, and there's been more and more, that's exactly what I was thinking of. That's exactly what I was looking for. And yeah, each day we're sitting in the middle of like our gratitude circle right now. And I want to branch off on so many tangents, but each morning we start our day with a little breath work and gratitude share. And I was just like very grateful to be able to like have your guidance within not only just the creative part of it, but to be able to create a space like this. The space like Upside was not like it's not a traditional tattoo shop, in the sense of like everyone comes in, they take their shoes off. It's a little bit more of a quiet atmosphere, you know, Zen spa music, if you will. And we start the day with breathwork, gratitude share. But when I stepped into your practice before, I just remember that feeling of the person at the front knowing who I was as soon as I came in through the door. Being treated with like everyone there saw me, and like we all kind of knew each other on like a first name basis, being within that space. And it's not very common within tattooing. And you've been tattooed at other tattoo shops. Angel's worked at several other places too. And it's like, we may share the space for the day. You practice perhaps with our doctors, but it's like, does everyone kind of know each other as we're here, like getting our ribs dug into and our forearms, you know, are bleeding, and we're like going through this process. And as we share lunch, everyone's like connecting, they're communicating, they're talking about the things that they shared here in this circle, which sometimes people cry, sometimes people laugh. But I've questioned, and let me know if you've questioned your practice sometimes, but I've questioned, is this a bit too much? Should I still be doing it this way? And when I do that, I find myself a little bit insecure. But when the breath work works for me to calm me down and, you know, release any tension or anxiety, when somebody else has expressed this is the best session that they've had or the best experience that they've had, it brings me back to that center of like, okay, this is not for everybody, because I think this place should be for everybody, but it's not. But the few people that are drawn here are supposed to be here, you know? And like, have you ever had moments where you've had Barefoot for how long now? 2010. So with Barefoot Rehab, have you ever felt, it's probably been shifting over time, but have you ever felt like this is a bit too much, or have you ever second guessed or questioned what you do in your practice?
Yeah, I mean, yes, that I'm thinking of the whole shame issue, as far as if I'm doing something, is this going to be something that I'm going to be punished for or ostracized for? But I mean, even as far as I pretty much hug all of the patients. I have tattoos on my hands. I curse sometimes in the clinic. We will have parties, and I don't know in New Jersey if you're allowed to, but we will smoke pot, or people will bring wine or whatever. I think when I think of the focus of, when I ask myself, why does this clinic exist? Why does this business exist? Why am I showing up every day to work? I want to love people, and I want to help. If I can help them get out of pain and suffer less, I want to do that. And that is what drives me to stay in the realm of possibility, as far as how could I possibly make this person's life better. I had a patient last week who, she didn't want to get an MRI because her insurance was giving her a hard time. I was like, you know what? I'm going to pay for MRI. You're going to go pay for it. You're going to give me the receipt. You're going to pay for it. You give me the receipt, and I'm going to reimburse you for it. And she was like, she was a nurse. She said, what are you doing right now? I was like, you're having a hard time with this, and I care about you, and you need this. This is a part of our care, so go get the MRI. And that's weird. I've never done that before. But, and she was caught off guard, and we'll see. Hopefully she brings in a receipt next week when I go home. When I get too stressed out, or when I'm worried about cash flow, or when Katie and I have gotten to a fight, sometimes I lose sight of those things. and then I may behave more traditionally, but the sooner I can wake up to remember why I'm doing this and that every day is a gift and I could die tomorrow and that I want to treat the people who I see and meet with respect and reverence, then it just causes me to continue to ask myself, I don't care what might be judged, I care about what might make a difference for the individual in front of me. And so and it's much more fun, and it feels better in here when I behave that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always, people ask like, so I'm an artist first, right? But I just happen to be within the tattoo practice. And it's like, well, would you be tattooing forever? Would you do any other mediums? Perhaps just switch over to painting or comic book illustration, whatever. And it's like, I really enjoy the tattoo aspect because it just allows me to connect on a human level with someone else. And I'm at this place in my artistry where like, I don't really draw paint for myself. Like if I do, it's like, I'll draw some Buddhas, I'll draw some family members, I'll paint them, and like, that's the extent that I'll go. But where I really find the most joy and fulfillment is like, perhaps you may call it channeling. It's like sitting with the client, and it's like, well, what do you want? And get me to like the core of who you are. And like, I like to express who people are on the inside and the outside. But it is really just about like the human experience, and to just be able to like sit with somebody. How long are you with your patients every day? Like, what's the average?
15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. To just like sit with somebody and like see them and hear them and experience or have an idea of what they're experiencing. It just creates like this relationship that I feel like sometimes is just lost within society. Especially nowadays when we're just kind of like disconnected and on our phones, or when you're just going to a dental office or a tattoo shop or a chiropractic office, it's very transactional based. Mm-hmm. And while that may be a business model that works, I feel like one that thrives is one that is focused on like the human interaction and the human care part of it. I remember walking in and talking to you about like mission statement, because when we were creating this place, yeah, we all just want to be able to create art. But my wife was like, we need to come up with like a mission statement. What are our values? What are our vision? And I asked you about that, and you gave me like a spreadsheet of like, this is what we've created, and we edit it and we adjust along the way. That was new to me as far as like being in a business, because normally the business's mission is to make money and to do artwork, and that's it. But what brought you on board to like start to develop like a mission, to make sure your values were up front, that you had a vision for where Barefoot was going?
Yeah, I'm a big Seth Godin fan, and he talks a lot about when you create a business, you're basically creating a world with your own rules and the way things are and the way things operate, the way people interact, all that other stuff. And that always really spoke to me. You basically create a culture for how you want to behave and how you want to live within that world. And so a vision, which is, why does this thing bother existing at all? What's it going to look like in the future? Your mission, what do you do every day? And your values, as far as what intrigues you, what calls to you to want to cultivate this type of virtue or whatever else it is. That's all part of the culture and the world, what it looks like inside of that. And over the past 15 years, I've evolved the vision, mission, values at various times based on where I'm at and what feels like it's working. And when our clinic seems to be really humming, and based on how I hire people and use the vision, mission, values in those interviews to see if the person fits or not, I've noticed that we seem to be more aligned as a clinic when we're talking about our vision, mission, values at least every week, if not every day. Because you created that poster right inside the bathroom, I never had it in a big letters somewhere for everybody to see. So last August, I lost half of my staff because I was poor leadership, and I redid our vision, mission, values, and I blew it up just like you did, and I put it right in our front lobby. And we used to do this a couple of years ago, and when I wasn't leading well, we stopped doing it. But every single morning, 10 minutes before we start seeing patients, whatever staff is there, whatever patients are there, we stand up and we look at the thing and we read it. And then everybody goes around and shares what's resonating with them, or if they want to share something that happened or they're grateful for. And then Casey, my clinical assistant, comes in the huddle, and then we just break. And what the staff has told me is that reading this thing every day, it feels like they're entraining their subconscious mind to be like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
So my 2 clinical assistants from last year are now apprenticing with me so that they can fix people in chronic pain. And then my other staff, everybody just is more lit on fire. And when it comes to being a leader and a business owner, I forget the name of self-fulfillment theory at work, but the whole idea is that employees are happier at work when they have autonomy and they feel fulfilled because they're a part of this vision, mission, values. And I always wanted to, if I'm going to start a business that's going to have employees, I want them to be everything about, they're getting all their dreams achieved underneath, whether it's their money, their health benefits, their passions coming alive. And because if they're not, if it's just a job for them, I'd rather just close the thing. So the vision, mission, values allows everybody to decide, am I all in on this thing, or do I not belong here? And that's very powerful and rare for businesses or health clinics or doctors' offices or tattoo studios.
Yeah. How has that helped you to manage and evolve your business, as far as like being able to develop that vision? Like what has been, I guess I'm looking more so as like, were there moments of like big growth moments because of like being sure within these visions, or was there like moments of slumps because you fell off of some of these visions or missions or values?
Yeah. Yes. Whether we fell off the vision, mission, values because we had the wrong ones or because I wasn't leading and executing well, that's hard to say. But the idea with core values is that we have 5 core values, and if everybody knows what they are, they should be simple enough that your people know what to do just if you have those things. So one of our core values, based on me doing the project, is Heal Team 6, because Ray Care is a SEAL Team 6, Navy SEAL. And I was like, you know what we do, it feels like we're on the front line and the back line when somebody has no other option for chronic pain, that we're the person to go to. So Heal Team 6 is, we take this very seriously, and we're gonna support each other as a team. So that should be enough that, and what I've noticed with my staff is because we have that phrase now, if somebody needs to take off or something happens, somebody else will say, I got you, it's okay. Yeah. Or I was treating a patient 4 months ago and I heard screaming at the front desk, and my assistant and our front desk staff, their sister-in-law died with a baby in their belly. And she just started screaming, and then I ran out there. It was me running out there, but I was just like, what do you need? I hugged her, she's bawling. She's like, I gotta go. I was like, go, I got it. So that's a core value that we've implemented that feels really good and right as a team, so that it shouldn't need me as the leader to carry the culture forward. So I'm continuing to ask myself, what are those values that need to be in place so that I am not the key risk man, that if I go away, everything can continue to go. And so that's where the hurdles in the evolution has been, is trying to ask myself the hard questions as far as what needs to be put in place so that this thing can survive if it is a big enough deal and matters enough.
Yeah, I had a similar thought about that as far as like upside, because we're a shop that has 6 artists within the space. But if something happens to me, can the shop still maintain itself? Not just from like a business standpoint, but also from like a value standpoint. Like, will it still maintain? Does everyone still believe and can we still carry the same heart and move through our day, our week, our year for the rest of the time that Upside is open, and still have those values? Like, and if there's something on there that someone doesn't resonate with, and we don't go over it daily or weekly, sometimes it's in like our monthly Monday gatherings, which is like our meeting days. And it's like, we may have to go over it to just see, like, is there something that we're not incongruent with? You know, is there something that we're falling a bit behind? And one of the things is like, we're happier, we do our best work, and we're happier when we're healthy and well rested. And there's some times where I'm not well rested and healthy. Like, sometimes, like, waking up early to take care of my workouts and draw, but then, like, I'm tired. And other times, like, I'm sleeping in because I need that rest, but then I'm not working out. And it's like, we kind of have to, like, keep each other in check. But it's like one of those things of, does the value still belong there? You know, is it something that allows us to thrive and to grow? And it was just, it was refreshing to hear when you were sharing, like, the process to build your statement. I think it was just like on a Google sheet or a doc that you guys could, like, edit it and make adjustments along the way. And I think that's, like, the evolution of a group or a community within a business, that it's not like this is the one way that it has to go. And Upside has a general direction and a general vision and a mission that we're moving towards, and it's really just to place the emphasis on the client and their experience while they're here. But I don't know, it was, I just go back to the word refreshing, because, like, I've never really stepped into a business that had as much emphasis on people, whether it's the people working there or it's the clients or the patients that were coming into the space. So, like, it was refreshing. I'm thankful that I was able to experience that practice, because I bring that feeling here.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you and I and our teams and our people are trying to do something different and leave people with an impact. It occurs to me that you and your team and Angel and everybody else want to be different. And that usually that means, I think you guys feel good when you touch somebody, when you do a good job, when people can say that they're really happy they came to see you because their lives are made better in some way. And so doing the hard work of evolving your vision, mission, value statement, or talking about it, or you're better at leading your team than I am, but it's hard for me to have conversations when people don't do certain things, because I don't want to be liked. I don't want to feel like the bad guy. But then you realize that if you don't do it and you're the leader, then ultimately the patients suffer, the staff suffers, I suffer, my family suffers, and everybody else. So this hard work is worth it when you consider the overall bigger picture of what you're trying to do. And then when you're on your deathbed, when you're 80 or 90 years old, you can look back and say, I don't have any regrets, which is something that drives me every single day. Is what is this thing? Is this something that matters, or is this something that nobody will miss if I weren't there or it was gone? And if no one's gonna miss it, I'd rather go to the beach and smoke some pot and just hang out there all the time and surf, learn how to surf. Or if I'm gonna be here in this business, in this clinic, then let's make a difference.
Yeah. It's hard sometimes, depending on where you're at, to put that into perspective. Like, what's important, what matters to you. And sometimes it does take an illness, a death, an inability to work to just, figure that out. One of the questions that I've constantly had coming up throughout my life, and I've shared with you during certain sittings, which is like, what's the purpose or the goal worth achieving? Is it becoming the best tattoo artist, the most successful tattoo shop, whatever your thing is? And anytime I got to, like, brew it to its, like, simplest core, is like being able to, like, help and serve people. I can do all these amazing feats and tricks, but if it doesn't really help and serve people, to me, it doesn't feel wholesome, I say. But even within tattooing, like, we can do something that helps people, even if it inflicts a little bit of pain that they choose to do. But one of our values that we've adopted here, which I've adopted from the Modern Day Night Project, which is like, we leave people in places better than we found them. To have someone come in the door, and even if they don't get tattooed here, right, they come in and they get to experience what the consultation process is like, and just to see the possibility of how it can be different, it changes their perspective of it, and sometimes coming in here, clients have a really bad day, or maybe they're doing a memorial for a wife that passed away last month or a baby that just died, and they're going through the grieving process, we can be the artist that just does a portrait, and if it's amazing and there's like a hollow interaction that like there's no substance to it, they have the tattoo, but they don't necessarily are left feeling better.
Right.
But sometimes you just need that ear or just that space to just kind of be with them during this process, that I feel like we achieve our goal every day of like leaving people better than we found them. I feel like this is one of those places where like it's okay to make your clients cry, and that's like when they see the design or they see the finished tattoo. And sometimes like those are some of the most powerful moments, and like I didn't think that that would be something that would happen here within this space, but some people have never had that time or attention before. You know, so just being able to be present, be here with them within that space during this transformation has been something that's like part of like our mission, you know, our vision while we're here. I don't know. This, when I created Upside, this vision has evolved many times. And it wasn't until...
And it will continue to.
Yeah, it will continue to. But prior to like really building out the place, one of the things I joke about is this place was built on mushroom. Like prior to, and every shop can be different, it was going to be a bunch of TVs and a bunch of iPads and headphones for clients so that they can just kind of zone out and just kind of be within their space on, you know, whatever thing they wanted to do. But as I began to like work through what I felt was important to me through plant medicine and stuff, it just kind of unfolded into this, you know. And I think that's kind of why I wanted to like just kick off this podcast. Number one, you were coming here. This moment has kind of come full circle because you've asked me to tattoo you 4 years ago. Hasn't happened. I don't think I would have been able to create in this way for you. But then for you to come here and not only get tattooed, but be a pivotal part of the creation of the space, I just want to say thank you for that. You know, so to have you here is a big deal. And I wanted to like have this podcast on to like share moments or conversations with clients that have had an impact on me or an impact within the world. And just to be able to bring like a different light within, you know, the tattoo community. So I appreciate you. I'm honored to tattoo you. I appreciate you coming out here and allowing me to do this for you. I know it's at the end of a very long day, but you sat like a champ today to be able to like cover that much ground. And I'm really looking forward to not only finishing that piece, but we'll get to the other side eventually too.
I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your team. And I think that I am excited for all the people that you're going to continue to do this work on. I can't wait to hear all the stories and the impact that you're having. So it's very exciting to me. I appreciate being a part of any of it.
Awesome. Love you, brother.
I love you too.
That's our episode.
Break.